This is going to stay in the video now.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is. You're going to have to keep it. Hola, ¿qué tal a todos ustedes? Day 3. Estamos en día 3. As you can see, it's been a pretty long week for my wife. This cup is nice.
It is. Five Below.
Well, anyway, estamos aquí para hablarles un poco más sobre el ayuno de Daniel and what you can do to occupy yourself in a good way, in the good sense of that word. El versículo de hoy viene de Juan 17:17. Santifícalos en la verdad. Tu palabra es verdad. And it's so interesting, man, porque es la oración que el Señor Jesús hizo al Padre por nosotros. So, he was talking about you, he was talking about me, y él dijo algo muy importante. Para nosotros ser santificados, necesitamos de la palabra. That's the only way that's going to be possible. So if you're watching us right now, invierte en la palabra de Dios, and that way that youth, Lupita, is going to be able to be sanctified, conociendo un poco más de la palabra de él.
And because whenever we read the Bible, God is always going to speak to us, ¿no? En cualquier situación que estemos pasando, whether it's in the family, at work, we're feeling stressed, we're feeling down, we're feeling some type of way, Él va a hablar con nosotros a través de su palabra. Y si nosotros no nos apegamos a la palabra de Él, no hay como poder tener alguna sabiduría o un entendimiento o una forma de salir, ¿no? Entonces, when we get close to His Word, nosotros vemos que pues Él habla con nosotros, porque no hay otra forma que Él pueda hablar con nosotros sino por su palabra.
And just in case you haven't, así se ve la aplicación, The Chosen, right? So that you guys can also go accompanying. Nosotros miramos que en el primer episodio, ¿no? We were seeing a little bit more about the story of Mary, la historia de María. Empezamos a ver un poco más de los costumbres que ellos guardaban, un poco más de Matthew, y entrando también en Andrew and Peter, ¿no? Lo que era la situación, la realidad de ellos. It's something really interesting que vamos acompañando entonces usted, señora.
Joven.
Is that is always, you know what I mean? Uno siempre, you get used to doing TV or whatever the case is. Do it again. But, if you're watching and you want to be occupied, it's something real good. Y una cosa que también yo estaba escuchando que me gustó mucho, si tienes la aplicación de podcasts, ahí I typed in Bishop Renato, ¿no? Renato Cardoso. It's called Inteligencia para su vida. So I go, it's a little podcast, it's like about 10 minutes, 12 minutes each, pero es algo muy, muy bueno e importante para que ustedes lo tengan. But, continúa, what you think about the show, you guys can write those comments. You know, it's real interesting porque it opens up showing que Mary, ella estaba aprendiendo las escrituras desde niña. Y ella siempre los guardaba, solo que creciendo ella se metió en esos problemas, estaba endemoniada, ¿no? Atormentada por los males. And we kind of see that today, hasta como nosotros estábamos en Magnolia, ¿no? Vimos las obras, vimos un montón de cosas y vemos que la mayoría de los jóvenes que hoy están dando testimonios, un día hacían parte de la iglesia cuando eran chiquitos, cuando eran pequeños, conocían de la palabra de niño y, you know, they kind of left, ¿no?
Yeah, we see que hoy pues, if you're watching and you classify or you're in that category where you grew up in the church, pues you know the reality of what it is to be inside the CBC, going to the preteens, being in the youth group now, participating in the services from a young age. Entonces, you know, we have that privilege of being in the church, but a veces we don't take that opportunity to actually take God seriously, no?
It's like for granted, no?
Yeah, we take it for granted. And I can say that for myself because I grew up in the church. Entonces, you know, sometimes we think we know it all, but we don't. Because if we knew it all, we wouldn't be where we were, no? Because I feel like growing up inside the church, I thought that just because I was already in the church, it was enough for me. But it wasn't until I actually took God seriously. Entonces, I think it's the opportunity para todos que crecieron adentro de la iglesia para tomar a Dios en serio en estos 21 días.
And you know what's so funny? Okay, so you know how you said that? It's so funny because when I came to the youth group, when I came, you know, back to church, she was always sitting in this little corner, no? She was always sitting like behind this little corner.
Right by the first.
And we would evangelize her, like we would invite her to the youth group or whatever, and she would always be like, no, and I'd be like, yo, like, don't you know the church since you were a little girl. Ahí pasó el tiempo, whatever, she was in the youth group, y había cosas, and I'd be like, how do you not know how to do this? Like, you've been here since you was a kid. Like, you're wilding out, you know what I mean? But is that, no, like, a veces el joven piensa, well, I grew up in church, my mom comes to church, or whatever, it's enough. No, it's not, like, deben aprovechar el ayuno de Daniel para que ustedes, like, on the for real, vengan a conocer a un Dios vivo, a un Dios que funciona, a un Dios que renueva. And, one of those things that kind of has to set in es entender que este mundo no es para nosotros. We don't fit that mold anymore. And that's okay. It's okay to understand that. Tal vez, I don't know, tal vez ustedes están mirando este video and you go, oh, pastor, yo no voy a la iglesia, I just hopped in or whatever, y estoy mirando, les escucho or whatever, and you probably don't understand that, pero llegará el momento que tú te vas a dar cuenta que el mundo ya no es para nosotros, ya no nos trae ningún tipo de función. So it's good for you guys who are watching to kind of have that set in, like, hey, look, you know what, this world isn't for me. Este mundo no es para mí. And once you start understanding that, you're going to be able to say, well, you know what, I need that change. You know what I mean? So they have that opportunity to be with us in the fast of Daniel para que ellos también vengan a renovarse a cada día y buscar más de él.
And while you were talking, I was thinking about it porque while we're doing this fast, pues uno se va a ir santificando. And you're going to see, si tú tienes una dificultad de dejar el mundo, de dejar las cosas de este mundo, tus amigos, las malas palabras, while you're getting closer to God, tú vas a ver que hasta las amistades se te van, they're going to be away from you, ¿no? Hasta ellos mismos se van a ir separando. Entonces, while you get closer to Him, you're going to see that everything que te llamaba o que te llamaba la atención para el mundo is going to disappear because you're getting closer to Him.
And, on top of that, like, I know she was real soft about it, pero si las cosas del mundo aún te atraen and you come to church, like, eso ya muestra, like a reality check, eso ya muestra tu condición espiritual. Like, you have to check yourself, man, for real, porque si ustedes aún dicen, oh, es que las cosas del mundo, es que salir para beber, es que salir con mis amigos, like, no es que tú, it's not that you can live under a rock, feel me, pero tú vas a decir, you know what, this isn't that important. But ustedes tienen la oportunidad y yo me puedo santificar en la palabra de Él, porque la palabra de Él es verdad. ¿Está bien? Have a good one, guys. Nos vemos.